One of the dumbest series of events that occurred in the Bible happens at the end of the Noah story. If you haven't read this story, then I suggest that you go read it. It's found in Genesis. So what is these dumbass series of events that show that this God is unjust, that this God is a poor planner, and that Noah, who is supposed to be one of the great heroes of the Bible, is the most illogical person that I can possibly think of right now? Here's how it goes, and I'm going to try to put this in order as it happens. So once the flood is over, and this guy comes down to Noah and speaks to Noah after he makes a barbecue for him, he makes the little rainbow. Well, this guy tells Noah that he regretted making man, and the fact that every thought from man, from his youth, from birth, is evil. That every thought from his heart is evil. So then why did you do the flood in the first place if you knew that every thought from man is going to be evil? And so you destroyed and murder, death, killed a whole bunch of people, only knowing that the people were going to go back to the same mentality. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Unless you're just copying the Sumerian flood, which is a copy of some other flood, which is more than likely the Younger Dryas flood. But in this story, this God, he KI'd all these people for no reason whatsoever when he knew what we was going to do right after that. So in this story, it says that Noah was the only one who was found righteous. It doesn't say Noah's family was found righteous. It says Noah was found to be righteous. So this God is omitting Noah's sons as being righteous as well. So is it possible that sin still was a part of the world and the wickedness still came in the world because this God knew that Noah's sons were not righteous, and so the children of Ham and Japheth were going to be the ones that would do all this evil, and the children of Shem, who the line of the Hebrews are supposedly come from, the Israelites come from, will be the only ones that will be somewhat righteous, even though they go and do a whole bunch of evil shit according to this Bible anyway? What was the point of the flood, my guy? That's what I want to know, my guy. What was the point of the flood if everybody was just going to go back to it? Now, many Christians are going to tell you that sin still came back into mankind because there was a second incursion. How can there be a second incursion if according to the Enochian story, all the ones who did the first incursion were punished, were put and locked in chains? But even according to the other story in Genesis, and they created the Nephilim, and that was the thing that created all the evil, that man went into even more evil. The Nephilim were supposedly destroyed during this flood, but yet there are Nephilim left over. But according to the Enochian story, which was very widely read, the giant Og was tied to the mast of the ship, and so Og survived, and therefore Nephilim were still on the earth. There's a lot of conflict in this Bible because it's quoting from a book that is not part of your Bible. Now, as we continue in this series of idiocy, sin is still in the world. Noah was the only one who was righteous. But in Noah's sadness, he plants a vineyard. And after planting that vineyard, he makes some wine. After getting some of that wine, which had to take some time, Noah gets drunk. Now, of course, drinking excessively is considered to be a sin in the Bible. So how is Noah righteous when he's still up here getting drunk? And then passed out more than likely in his tent, butt-ass naked. Now, he's well within his right to be inside of his tent and be booty-ass naked. But then his son Ham comes into his tent and uncovers his father's nakedness, which is considered a sin. Now, Ham then goes, and I don't know if Ham is the younger brother or not, but he goes and tells his brother, oh, he walked in, daddy naked. He goes and tells his brother, hey man, daddy in the tent, booty ass naked. Ham is then punished, but Ham ain't punished. His son Canaan is punished and is made to be a slave, although the Canaanites never became the slaves of his brother Japheth and Shem. But the punishment goes to the grandson. Noah is stupid. That's illogical. That makes no sense. Why are you punishing the grandson for something that the son supposedly did that was wrong, when the actual wrong was you passed out drunk, butt ass naked? That is the problem. You just don't want to take on your responsibility. So how is Noah righteous when he can't even take his own responsibility for his own actions? That's a question, isn't it? Now, let me give it to you an example that most of you probably have experienced, and I know I have. So I remember I don't know exactly how old I was, but I remember because I could always just walk into my mother's room. I walked into my parents' room, and what did I see? I saw my parents having sex, and I've been scarred ever since. The trauma. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Most of you have done the same thing. But I walked into my parents' room, saw them getting it in, uncovering their nakedness. Now, if I had went and told my brother and sister that, hey, I went into, mom and dad's room and they was in there getting it, and I saw them naked, butt booty ass naked. My brother and sister, now armed with that knowledge that they are naked, to which I was not armed with that knowledge, would not go into the room and uncover our parents' nakedness, right? Logically thinking, that's how that would go. So logically thinking, Ham did not know his daddy was in that butt booty ass naked drunk. But when he did discover that, he went and told his brothers. His brothers, armed with that knowledge, knew to come in there backwards so that they don't uncover their father's nakedness and pull the clothes covers him. Now you can say that Ham could have covered his father at that point, but he didn't. He was freaked out. He was traumatized in the same way that I was traumatized by seeing that. I can see it right now. Ass just all up in the air. How much sense does it make now that you're going to punish the one who did not have the information? And you're not even punishing him, you're punishing his son. And the other ones are seen to be righteous because of how they came into the room. So should you go into your parents' room always walking in backwards just in case you might uncover their nakedness? You see how that shit just don't make any sense whatsoever? None of it makes sense. If you're God, you know that man is still going to be evil because every thought from his heart is evil. Why would you do the flood? Noah's supposed to be righteous, but he passes out butt booty ass naked drunk. He then punishes his grandson for what he claimed his son had sinned. His son could not have known that he was getting ready to sin because he walked into the room like he normally would on any other given day. But yet, that was a sin, and his brothers were good to go. The Bible just don't make sense. Not even in the slightest. Yet people still believe that this book is the true and inerrant word of this God, when really it's just a bunch of people trying to describe things in nature and trying to create laws to govern their society based on the culture to which they lived in during that time frame. And none of that is applicable to today, but yet people still follow it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments. Like, subscribe to the channel because I'm being shadow banned. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.